But what was
Sort
the
it
other
out
one?
because you sort it out because we're now live and you've got this new segment that you've been banging on about and you don't even know what you want to do with it.
No, it's actually wrong. There's too many to choose from. This is the issue now.
That's the thing. Yeah, another thing too is I don't understand why we couldn't get an intro up and running for it either.
Oh, sorry.
Had a week.
Rome wasn't built in a day, yeah?
Yeah, but you can fix feedback pretty quickly like me bringing glasses to the game, Joe.
You did today. That was good. Yep. You did take on some feedback. That's nice. And I'm not going to say much tonight. I'm telling you. And that's not because I'm taking on the feedback, just because I've got a massive headache still.
I'm just hoping your laptop works tonight.
We'll get to that in a minute.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I'll give no credit to this side ever. I'll give no respect to this side. John O'Barook, honorary Blues brother, Will Hayes.
Yes.
Mr. Paul Sebastiani, welcome back to the show, mate.
This one game is a build-up of, a year's worth of work.
What did you think of his performance?
And I gave my opinion.
It's an opinion-based podcast, fair enough. Welcome, everyone, to episode 97 of the Almost Blues Brothers podcast, brought to you by Piotta Health and Performance and proudly powered by the Blue Broad Podcast Network and YouTube channel. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Happy pod. Again, it's very nice. I'm here with my two co-hosts as usual. Dan, Jules,
Co-host?
how are we? Are we not co-hosts? What do I call you? All right, I'm here. No. That's right. I'll go again. I'm here
Best
with my
mates?
two, I'm here with my two employees, Dan and Jules. How are you?
Well, you don't
Which
pay
one do you
us.
want?
We don't
What do
pay
you
us, so it can't be.
Dickhead. Jules, I'm starting with you because he's pissing me off today.
Talk to me. What's going on? How you feeling, Bella?
Me?
Yeah, you.
All right, fine. Yeah, let's milk it. Dan, how are you?
Good. Today was a nice day. Wasn't it? We had a good day together at the footy. That was actually an ideal day.
It was. It was fun. We actually enjoyed ourselves for the first time since Good Friday. We
I don't think
realised
you
that.
did. I don't think you enjoyed yourself until about half time. You look like the Walking Dead.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you're a little bit hungover. So anyway, as you guys both said to me, everyone's had hangover, so we're not going to bang on about this. It's fine.
If you can't drink, you don't drink. Simple.
I agree with that.
That's all right. I remember the time that Jules couldn't put down 2 chartreuse shots without throwing his guts up at him everywhere. But that's all right. He slept till 4 p.m. the next day. Missed his end of season breakup.
I don't know how many drinks. I lost count.
Missed his end of season breakup. He's sleeping until 4 p.m. Me, I was up bright and early, 9 a.m. still at the footy with you. That's all right. That's fine. Talk about accountability. Now, at the end of the day, today was good. It was a nice win, but we're keeping the lid on it at least until the end of next week because it was only Hawthorn and they were fucking dog shit, which we'll talk about throughout the episode here. Before we do, if you are new and you haven't subscribed already, please like and subscribe to the Blue Broad YouTube channel. It helps everyone that creates content for this channel. And if you haven't, follow us on Instagram at Almost Blues Brothers and on Twitter, approaching 1,000 Twitter followers, which is nice, at Almost Blues Bros. You can follow us there as well for all our content throughout the week. Boys, how are we going to do this, Dan? Because Dan last week said he wanted a new segment, right? So he's got his new segment. We don't know what it's called yet.
I didn't say that by popular. It's by popular demand that this segment come about. People loved my roasting of you both last week. That's just how it was.
I think the 360 feedback last week was genuinely one of the better things we've done on this podcast over the last 3 years. All right. See, I don't know where to fit this in.
I'm not doing it now. I'm doing it at the end.
Well,
my rant's going to be about you if you don't go into the review. Tell you that much.
All right. Without any further ado,
let's get into this thing.
And to kick us off this week, we've got Dan Hammers, apparently is what it's going to be called. Off you go.
Is it?
Yeah. I don't know. We'll call it that for this
that?
week. And I don't know, until we find a better name.
Put a poll out or something.
Yeah. All right. Off you go.
I don't want to do it yet.
No, it's all relevant because we're talking about being at the game today and it was nice, but there was something that really ticked you off.
Well, there's a few things this week that I'd like to bring up, but all right, we'll start with this one. One most recent one is Joe just putting the segment where he wants it. But all right,
Yeah, get over it.
you know what's cooked me, boys and Jules. You saw it for what it was.
It was
No, you
disgusting.
saw it for what it was today. We've gone to the footy just before 3/4 time. We've gone out, me and Jules. I've gone, Jules, you get the beers, I'll get the food. Now, the MCG, I understand that it's Carlton, Hawthorn. We're both not sitting pretty on the ladder. But when you've got 66,000 people, when you have 66,000 people at the G, I'm sorry. But how you can have one, I'm laughing now thinking about how big this fucking line was. Joe, they had one canteen. No, you didn't see it, Jules, please.
That was a joke. It was disgusting.
Joe, they had one canteen for the whole of level 4.
I believe that. I believe it.
No. You guys saw how I was gone. I missed the whole 3rd quarter. I was gone for an hour. I timed it.
It wasn't an hour. You disappeared for about 20 minutes.
It was an hour, Joe.
It wasn't an hour. There's no chance.
Well, we disappeared at the end of obviously the quarter.
It was halftime. It was halfway
10,
through.
15 minutes.
Halfway through halftime.
Plus all of halftime.
No, you went at anyway. It doesn't matter. You were gone for a while.
Anyway,
It was minimum 30 minutes though. Minimum.
All right. Listen to this. Then, so I didn't actually line up, Jules. You know when you went to line up and get the beers? I actually didn't. I thought, oh, you know what? I'll wait a bit longer and I'll let the chaos go and I'll just zip in. Couldn't do it because it was still fucking massive. So I lined up, had to line up, obviously. Then I look at it and there was a queue going in, like in the actual canteen. So 2 of the people working there weren't even doing anything because it bypassed 2 of the chicks at the cash register. You know what I mean? So there was one cash register chick actually doing something. No wonder the line. Move those 2 and move them into another area. Like, I don't know, anyway, it's common sense. Rant done. That's all right.
The other thing is, you were fuming, but I was speaking to a Hawthorn supporter when I was getting the beers. And he's like, man, I'm fuming because we're losing. And I'm fuming because of this. But I'm even fuming at my mate because he usually sits level 2, nice and pretty. And he had to sit with his mate on level 3 or level 4, whatever it is, waiting in line for the beers after being pumped in the first half.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
Someone reckons they've seen me at Woolies in Preston. Definitely wasn't stacking boxes in Preston at Woolies. It might have been Jules at Coles instead. All right, let's get into this. It was a good day at the G. Final scores from the MCG: Hawthorn 7-10-52, Carlton 17-10, 112, 60-point winners. We had 11 goal kickers again, boys. Akers, Doherty, Fogarty, Owie, Silvani with 1 each. Cunningham, Mackay, and Adam Chera just keeps doing what he's doing with 2 each. And Charlie Curnow and Jack Martin was good to see back doing what he does with 3 each as well. No injuries outside of DeConning being replaced late in the side by Lewis Young. George Hewitt came on in the 4th quarter for Charlie Curnow. 66,000 at the G. It was a decent turnout. I don't think anyone expected it, but it was because kids could go free today. We ended up finding out in about halfway through the 3rd quarter or whatever it was. But anyway.
Joe, when we asked that, when that guy said, we go, far out, this is a good turnout for Hawthorn Carlton considering where we're at. Mike goes, yeah, kids are free. He goes up to 16. I go, that's not kids anymore.
What is that?
Kids are 16. Kids are 16 apparently these days. Anyway, boys, how did you see it? How did you find the day? It was, for me, it was just relaxing. You can tell that we're relaxed tonight. Like there's no chutzpah about us. There's no, like, we're not angry. It was just a relaxing day at the footy.
Yeah, I think it was. I think we brought the contest early, didn't we? And obviously sort of hit the scoreboard, put some pressure on. And then from there, it was pretty, smooth sailing, I would say, as well. So I think they had a bit of a patch in the 3rd. I think they kicked 3 on us. But then after that, we sort of, were humming again. It was, but it was a good day. It was a good day.
I think the key things to see that stood out for me was we hit the scoreboard early. which automatically gives, and you can tell we're a confident side. But scoreboard pressure, as we always talk about, like we hit the scoreboard as we did. The pressure around the ball was immense. I thought our pressure in the first half in particular was just where it needs to be and what it needs to carry in against better sides. Like, granted, Hawthorn was shit, but you still got to bring it, in my opinion. So,
I mean,
when I reflected back on that game, I think our pressure put us in positions that, or, then allowed us to then rebound off D50. And then the way we're actually going inside 50 was a lot better. I think we lowered the eyes, Walsh in particular. And I know, Joe, or I'll talk about this later with Harry, but we're actually looking to go, how many times did we take that kick inboard, Joe, inside 50?
Yeah, we saw it against Gold Coast as well. It was more so the thing that's standing out to me. I think it's not the ball movement, because I think that's changed since about the Sydney game. It's more so the execution, how clean we've been with ball in hand, like not missing 5-meter handballs or 15-meter kicks, and actually, being clean enough that we can chain those things together. But the biggest difference that I've seen since the Gold Coast game is, and we saw it again today a number of times, is whenever a player, if we do have a mark inside 50, if a player's on a slight angle, doesn't matter if they're 30 meters out or 50 meters out, they look inboard straight away to try and hit someone in that V, that slot that everyone talks about, that goal kicking slot out from basically directly in front of goal. And I reckon we saw it about 3 or 4 times again today, where someone might have had it on the slightest angle 30 meters out, but they took the option to really square it up. Chera twice, I think, again. And it's giving us, obviously, Jules, you spoke about this the other week, it's giving us better looks in front of goal, and we're converting, and it's good.
Yeah, but I feel like as well, it's off the back of it is off the back of our pressure and our contest work, So, it sort of allows our defense to set up behind the ball as well. I feel like as if they never really, Hawthorn in particular, they're a side that, generally want to go through the corridor. They did a couple of times, obviously in the third. That's when they sort of started to get going. But, we sort of didn't allow that to happen throughout the whole course of the game. But even if they did, we'll so set up behind the ball off because of the pressure that we were putting up, as sort of like a dump kick, or, a kick that they were trying to, maybe biting off too much that they could probably chew and things like that. So I feel like as if it did set us up, and then from there we'll be able to, slingshot the ball forward with the likes of, Sincotta, Sard, Boyd, even McGovern and Kemp as well, with their foot skills and speed as well by foot. It sort of gives us another avenue as well. I feel like as if we've got the selection down to a T, down back especially, in terms of it sort of allows our ball movement as well to go on, and obviously connect inside forward 50 as well.
I think that's a big one.
Cincotta just takes the game on, eh? We saw it a number of times today, and it does, whether or not, and this is the thing, like from your halfback flankers, you don't really need them to execute all the time. They just need to gain meters for you. And he is a player that his execution isn't 100%, and it's obviously a flaw in his game, but he knows how to gain meters and gain territory, and it's something that we've missed for a long, long time.
With that, it's with the territory. You even see it with like Sard and things like that as well, and players, that ilk. Like you said, Joe, it is about gaining territory, but it's about gaining territory and sort of going past the zone. That's
through
what
the
it's
corridor.
about.
And through the corridor, taking the game on.
Yeah. But it's not going past the zone, So then it's more like you're looking at trying to look at one-on-ones and things like that as well inside forward 50. Which
but
obviously
boys,
with the players that we have, it helps.
See, with what you're talking about there, with obviously you're saying that Sincotta doesn't have the polish, but we're asking for our players to take on the game. We want that. So I think with that brand of football, and I saw us go in the corridor in the first quarter, and it didn't quite work out. But you can't criticize that, because when it does pay off, we're going to be damaging. So I think you just got to keep encouraging it, and then you've got. Sincotta might not be the guy to do it, but I know he takes the game on, which is promising to see. But then you've got the likes of Kemp and Boyd that can hit targets, and that's where it complements us. So you want it to go, like, obviously to blood through the side. I'm just pleased to see the ball movements a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Like, all right, in the first half, there was patches where we probably too many handballs, too many chain of handballs, and I think we maybe overplayed it a little bit. But I think regardless, you got to be happy with the way in which we move the ball.
Yeah, for me, it comes down to confidence as well. I feel like as if we do it with a bit more conviction now. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah, because it's product. Like I think
Yeah.
maybe, if I'm honest, I think maybe we were doing it in like before as well, but we weren't finalizing the end product, so it looked like it was shit because we couldn't
Yeah.
convert.
Do you feel like like in particular, like for example, with Boyd, Boyd and Sincona, I feel they're the two. And the reason why I'm saying that is because obviously they've been playing VFL, for long periods of times. Obviously before they were picked up. Obviously Boyd to a lesser extent because he did. I know he was on our list last year, but he only played about 5 or 6 games, but did look good. But I feel like as if maybe they've got that freedom as well. Like they've got that careless nature because they know that they just need to give 100%, no matter what in essence, because they don't have the I guess the what's the word I'm looking for, the pressure, because they're not, they haven't been drafted in a high, or it wasn't a trade or anything like that as well. I feel like as if they do have that bit of freedom as well in the way they go about it. But Sinclair, for me, he goes out at it 100% as well, even his defensive traits. Boyd, you see his first, second, third efforts, and then on the back of that, like he just hits targets through the corridor. He's going to be a genuinely good footballer for us.
I might go and buy myself a long sleeve 37. I said
Yeah,
that
you said
today.
that.
I love him. I love the
did
way he
say
goes
that.
about it. He doesn't do anything that he doesn't need to do with the footy. He just executes. Like when he's got the ball in his hand, you just know that he's going to do something with it. If it's 10 times a game, he's going to hit a target 10 times a game. Like that's more of the type of player that we need, rather than these junk 20 possession players that do fuck all with it, essentially.
Yeah.
And I won't name names, but
the thing as well, like with those kinds of players too, because they know they're not like the superstar, they're happy and content just to play a role.
yeah.
You got the likes of like Zach Fisher and maybe even a Motlop, like in the VFL, for example, at this stage of the season. Maybe they were wanting to be, the shining lights, like that. But maybe, they're just not understanding what kind of roles they need to play and sort of let the, the more stars to actually perform of that in that caliber,
Yeah. Give me 18 Chinkottas, Boyds, and Cottrells every day of the week. I want to comment on one player that's come in that's played a role, and we spoke about him last week or a couple of weeks ago after the Gold Coast game. But Lockie Fogarty, 7 tackles today, another goal, 18 possessions, attended centre bounce a couple of times, went at 77% disposal efficiency, was involved in 11 score involvements, had 1 direct goal assist. This guy here is a product of what you see when you've got a player that's been made to earn their spot, and they don't just get gifted a spot every week. Lockie Fogarty is one that I think 4 weeks ago we would have all written off. I know we've got texts in our group chat that I can bring up from 4 or 5 weeks ago saying he's one that's out the door. He can't be out the door now. He can't. Like he's shown his value. He's got him, Martin, Cunningham, probably those 3, to be honest, that have come in recent weeks. They're 3 that everyone almost would have written off. And for me now, they don't lose their spot as long as they're fit.
Well, they can't.
And this is the thing. They've got more strings to their bow. They just look like they've got more strings to their bow than a Durden and Motlop, who have not developed in the twos. They haven't been given the time in the twos. And we say this every week. We have commented on how poor our development has been over the years. But we've got examples like Fogarty, Kemp, Boyd, whoever else that have had to earn their spot in the side that you look at and go, you know what? It's not a bad thing having to force players to play twos like a Binns, like a Motlop, like a Durden for 2-3 years. Let them develop.
Well, Kennedy was in that situation as well at one stage, wasn't he?
Chincotta's another one.
Chincotta. You got Dowler as well. He's sort of been in a similar boat too. Probably hasn't been getting the game time in the senior level as well. I know he had a pretty good game yesterday. I think he had 29 touches, 3 goals as well. I mean, you can even put Binns in that ilk as well now. He's been putting, games together, 25 plus possessions, probably averaging a goal a game as well. Obviously in the VFL too. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's a real good thing. And I feel like as if, it'll give us it'll set us up for the future for sure.
I think we can't get too carried away with stats and numbers as well. Because like someone like a Jackson Binns, I did hear that regardless of, and I know he hits the scoreboard, I know he gets a lot of touches, but I think his disposal efficiency is actually quite poor. Joe, I think you were telling me that, weren't you?
Yeah, it is. But I was having a
He's
discussion.
actually
With
takes
someone.
the kick though.
He does take the kick, and that's what we're missing. So
Yeah.
you can look at disposal efficiency and go, well, he needs to clean it up. But at the end of the day, if he's going to fit into a system where we're looking to play more risky footy, then he may just be able to fit anyway. So I'm neither here nor there on Bins at the moment. But there's a couple of comments. There's a couple of comments here around Motlop, right? He's kicked 4 goals in the twos today. That's fine. Do it for 6 weeks. Do it for 8 weeks. Show us that you can do it consistently. It's not it can't be based off of one game anymore. It's you've been dropped from the side because you had 12 weeks to prove your form and you couldn't. Now you've got to go back to the twos and do it for an extended period before we give you another look.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Some would say, 12, because how long did he have? It was probably around 12 weeks, to be fair.
He didn't come
maybe
out
even longer. That's probably too long. Too long.
It is. But we spoke about this, right? How can you expect a team to perform if there's no selection integrity around form? Like there were players that should have been dropped 6 weeks ago that just weren't. And now all of a sudden that these guys are starting to get a crack, Fogarty, Cunningham, Martin, Chincotta, Boyd, there's players like Zach Fisher, like Jesse Motlop. I know Corey Durden's injured, but Durden was probably out of form as well prior to that injury. Like, they're going to struggle to get back in. They really are.
Yeah, but that's because that's because of the results that we were getting. That fingers were finally starting to be pointed at those players, Joe. In the past, they weren't.
Agree.
In the past, the blame was being put everywhere else. Do you know what I mean? So now accountability is well and truly on the playing group and on the players to perform. And if you don't, you get dropped. Doesn't matter who you are. So it's obviously promising to see. And yeah, Will Motlop's doing that in the twos. I think, well, he's now got to wait for his opportunity again. And when he does get it, take it. It's plain and simple, But in saying that, I want to talk about the front half because they have been our topic of conversation a lot, haven't they?
Yep.
In how the continuity down there, the fact that they can't hit the scoreboard. I think it's plain and simple that all you're looking for down there is product. Now, you look at someone like Jack Martin, kicked 3 today. He kicked 1. Did he kick 1 against Gold Coast?
2 maybe, 1 or
2.
2.
There you go.
Yeah.
You look at Owies, hits the scoreboard. You look at Cunningham now, he kicked 2.
Even our midfield's getting up and about in terms of hitting the scoreboard as well.
Yes, well, Ches kicked 2, obviously.
Yeah, well,
Listen, it's all good. From what we saw today, it's how can you not be happy with a performance like that?
Yeah.
But we just hope now because the pressure's
I think
the pressure on the side is going to be a lot greater, and I want to see what happens when the chips are down. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, but the thing is, as well, we had 11 goal scorers today, and I feel like as if you could see it that players like Charlie, like Harry, that around 50 to 50 meter arc in the past, maybe they were willing to have the shot, but today, like you said, obviously at the beginning of the show, they were looking for players inside forward 50, with other avenues. I think even there was one kick that Harry had. I think he sort of broke a tackle on half forward or the wing. I think it might have been the second quarter, I believe. No, maybe the first quarter or the third quarter. I can't remember. Maybe the third. And he hit up Cunners, but probably could have easily hit up Charlie as well. We're looking for other players and trying to get them into the game as well. The players like Cunners, the players like Owies, the players like Martin. I feel, you got to get other players into the game a bit more. And then that sort of gives, the opposition headaches as well in regards to who's going to be, to look out for.
Yep. Agree. Let's talk about our midfield, which we were just touching on then in terms of hitting the scoreboard. Jules, I think you got a Cassano's calc for this to kick us off.
It's not in terms of hitting the scoreboard, but I feel like as if it's just more about. I feel like we didn't have a ruck today, did we?
All right, well, hold on.
An out ruck. I was shocked that you had the intro.
I know the image.
We haven't played it. Haven't played it for a few weeks now.
Yeah, accountability. That's right. All right. All right.
That's going to be dropped.
So just in terms of our midfield, I know we didn't have a ruckman obviously today with Young and Sauce, obviously pinch hitting in the ruck as well. And I just want to bring our attention obviously to the midfield. I feel like as if the last couple of weeks, especially, they've sort of got their mojo back. I know it's against lesser likes, obviously in Gold Coast and Hawthorn, but nonetheless, especially today without having a ruck, I feel like as if in terms of having first use, it makes it a little bit more difficult. So Hawks had negative 11 in terms of hitouts to advantage. Okay, so negative 11. Yet we were +4 with first possessions from a hitout.
Yep.
And then we'll obviously +5 clearances. Keeping in mind, we're also negative 34 in hitouts as well.
Yeah.
So I think off the back of it, because Young and JSOS were just competing, they weren't able to get obviously the first use from there. But I feel like as if you saw it today, even Cripps, Kenny and Chera, and even Walsh as well. The way they were moving in and around the contest, I felt like as if they were able to pounce on the ball a lot more free. I don't know why. It could be up to many things, but I feel like as if they've just got that hunger back. And hopefully it can, catapult us in the back half of the year.
It's purely down to effort and work rate. So, and it's something that for the first 12 weeks, again, we spoke about week on week. There was no spread from our midfield, from contest. It just looked like there was no willingness to get in and under and get first to the footy. It was today and against the Suns. We've watched a completely different midfield to what we've watched in the first half of the season. And, they're lesser sides, but if our midfield gets to work like that every week, we're going to be competing every week. And that's the main thing out of this. We don't know how we're going to go against the Freo or a Port until we play them in the next couple of weeks. We don't. But if they bring that effort, I'm pretty comfortable saying that I think we'll compete for 3-4 quarters against some of the better midfielders out there.
Yeah, well, you can only beat what's put in front of you, can't you? Like you can only that's so obviously we've been faced with Gold Coast and now Hawthorn, and we've done a job against both of them. But yeah, we can keep going in circles with regards to what we want to see for next week. But I think they show, like, if the boys can bring, that pressure, our pressure acts and our pressure around the ball was huge. But again, Walshy in particular being that clean, like I think he had something like 11 or 13 score involvements, but you could see the way he was using the ball it was class, wasn't it, boys? Like, especially I don't know, it was really noticeable for me the way Walsh was using the ball. But it's on the back end of being confident from hitting the scoreboard. That's what I think.
Well, it's also on the back end of it's on the back of our midfielders being able to release him to play more of an outside running role, because that's what he's done the last 2 games. He's got his run back under him, and he's got time and space to think about what targets he's going to hit. And the targets that he's hitting inside 50 at the moment, if he can do that every week for us, it's going to be very hard to stop our ball movement going into the center. Paddy Cripps is another one that I thought backed up his performance against the Gold Coast pretty well today. Like, his game probably went a little bit unnoticed in terms of like a massive numbers, but he was hitting targets left, right, and center. Right foot, left foot, didn't matter. He was breaking tackles again. He was taking on the game. He looked more confident. He had 8 clearances. I think he had 6 tackles as well, 7 inside 50s, 10 score involvements, 3 direct goal assists. I reckon that's probably an all-time high for Cripper, to be honest. So, we've got stars there, and if they can continue to improve week on week and continue to bring that level of quality week on week, we're a tough side to beat. We know.
But this playing group also need to keep themselves level-headed.
Yeah, agree.
With the 2 results, they need to keep their standards high, and they need to keep their belief really high as well. So I just don't think they should get ahead of themselves. They should obviously have a realistic look at where they still are on the ladder. I know Voss in his presser was saying that he's just taking it sort of day by day, week by week. But, and they want to enjoy the win, which we all are. Like, again, we got to sing the song today, and it was awesome. But I think there's a big task ahead for this group. So, use the winner's confidence. You take what you can from those wins. I'm sounding like Voss a bit, aren't I? But it's all true, though. It is.
Yeah.
Like, it really is.
Yeah. Let's have a discussion about the press conference. There was one question. Now, the actual reporter actually didn't even finish the question before Voss obviously, butted his head in and said basically, no, let's not get there. And obviously it was a question around finals. What are your thoughts around how Voss answered the question?
I haven't seen it, so I can't comment.
I don't.
What was the answer, Jules?
I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
Yeah, he didn't like it. He's sort of basically.
He sort of brushed. He brushed
it
the
aside.
fact of talking about finals, and he wanted to just keep it all more short term in the fact that they're just sort of wanting to compete. In Voss's words, compete with themselves. So
correct.
He wanted to use their standards, but I don't know. I don't know how I felt about it, Jules, if I'm honest. Like, I think if you're not pushing and your aim's not to make finals, like, I understand you want to get better within yourselves and you want to drive your own standards, because he's saying that you drive your own standards, you improve on what your shortfalls are, and then everything else will sort itself out, pretty much. But like, you've still got,
I get it in a way.
Ahead of you. You've still got teams ahead of you that are itching and hungry and tenacious to want to make top 8. Like, are we ruthless? Are we ruthless to want to make top 8? Like, because if you got the head coach saying, like, we're not really thinking about it, well, fuck, think about it,
Yeah, because I get it in a way. I understand it, but I don't know if that's the manner in which you want to convey yourself to the Carlton faithful.
Well, what does it? Not only
or
that,
even to the players.
Correct. That's what I was going to say.
I'll play devil's advocate here. So I know that we want them to always be saying, "Yeah, we're hungry. We want to play finals, this and that, blah blah blah." Right? You got to think about it from. This is something that I've started to learn to do a little bit more with the media this year, right? And what we consume and whatnot is these reporters. They just want a headline, right? So a question like that, it can be very dangerous to answer either way.
Yeah, but back yourself. Be
I
transparent.
know. But if you do, it can come back to bite you. If you don't, it can come back to bite you. And I think in the way that Voss might have answered this one, or maybe how he's answered it in the past, what I don't want to hear is, finals, we don't like, if we don't make finals, it's not a failure. I don't want to hear that anymore, right? I don't want to hear that. But I'm not opposed to playing a straight bat, which is, it's without seeing the press conference, but listening to what you two are saying, the response was, it sounded like it was just a straight bat, essentially. So, yeah, how much publicity and media do you want around finals with the Carlton Football Club? Seriously, if you're in that coaching box, and if you're in that playing group, like,
I think it's going to happen regardless.
I know, but they know. They know. Of course, they want to play finals. Like, fuck me. Like, we've got to be kidding ourselves if we think these boys don't want to play finals. If we think this club doesn't want to play finals.
I just feel like you need to embrace
the challenge.
Yeah,
and the challenge.
Of course. I was just playing devil's advocate.
No, I understand. I do get it, because I had the same thought process as you, Jules, in regards to the way in which he answered the question. Maybe he bottled it, but I just think, fuck, be ruthless. Be ruthless. Be ambitious.
Yeah,
and be transparent. Like, I compare it a lot to NBA. And Joe, you can vouch for this. In NBA, the head coach is transparent as fuck. If a player plays shit, he calls it out.
Yeah,
he does. And I'm not saying that to go, today, like, this player, he was shit. Well, but I just think a little bit more transparency in terms of what you're actually thinking and feeling from a supporter. I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to just hide behind words and say the right thing to keep this and that. Like, like I said, the NBA is a good example of that. If anyone hasn't watched it or seen presses from it, coaches can be brutal, but it tells you, it's a good reflection in terms of where his headspace is at. And also, I don't know, I don't mind it.
Yeah, I feel like as if as well, like, I'm a bit surprised in terms of the way he sort of conducts himself, well, obviously in terms of with the players, we're not sure, but in terms of the media, I'm surprised in which he conducts himself, knowing what kind of a ruthless player he was.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? It's a bit like,
Yeah, I mean,
he's not as ruthless as in terms of the manner in which he played.
yeah. I don't know.
You're not going to get him to tackle a reporter.
No,
Go
but
through unburned.
this is the other thing though, is you don't
What'd you
want
say?
you know, that's right. You don't want your identity to be that you're a Mick Malthouse, for instance, when he was coaching us. Like, do you remember that? Those press conferences
I'm
were
not saying that.
They were
I'm not
worse
saying
to
that.
watch.
You
know
don't
what I
need
mean?
to yell. You
Yeah.
don't need to yell, but you need to have conviction about you.
Yeah. No, conviction. Yeah, I 100%. I'm with you. Conviction, 100%. All right. Anything else we want to cover before we get into Blues Qs?
No, let's go.
All right, then this is the time. If you're watching us live, and we are live, we're not pre-recorded. This is live. And Tom in the chat, I can see that.
Get onto Tom's question.
We'll start with you, mate. We'll start with you.
You listed like
We do-
15 players.
We do.
I've
we
seen
do.
blokes right in the chat, and this guy, Tom, you've taken it to another level. I don't mind it though. It's aggressive.
We do read the chat, Tom. It's just that we have to get through the show before we get to Blues Qs. And now that we're at Blues Qs, you can ask whatever question you want. Now, if you're watching live, you can ask the questions. Otherwise, we'll. He says, "Thank God, mate." We're trying here. If you're watching live, ask questions now. If you've got anything about the game, anything at all, and then I'll go through some off the Instagram from earlier today as well. But we will start with Tom. And it was around this comment here. I think so. He's listed a few players here: Binns, Dow, Carroll, Cowan, Plowman, Honey, Murkov, Marchbank, Hollands, Fisher, Durden aren't good enough. Don't fit in our best 22. And I think that was then followed up by should we just delist them? They're C Raiders, and I don't think you need to delist all of them. There'll be a few that we get rid of. But you know. You've got 45 players on a list. You can't just gut anyone that's not in your best 22. You still need to have players for depth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's probably only 2 or 3 there that I'd probably delist, I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably at Marchbank, depending on what you want to do with Gov and whatnot in terms of injuries, etc. And who else we got there? There was one other, maybe Zach Fisher if you trade him. Lockie Plowman definitely go. I think we spoke about a few of these players, obviously last week as well. In terms of the buy, sell, and
yes, we did.
Yeah, the buy, sell, and I don't know what was the other. Yeah,
well, if you had to be transparent about those players there, for me, I'd be just looking at the ones that have had the opportunity and have been given a genuine crack and haven't been able to prove it yet. So, for me, and looking towards who realistically can be part of a premiership side. Yeah.
Yeah,
with those players that are there. So
100%.
I think harsh on Hollands. Like I'd take him off, Tom.
I think harsh on Binns, Cowan, Murkov. Holland,
you'd be definitely saying like a Fisher, a Plowman, and a Dow for me. Like I know you guys,
and maybe a Honey.
Yeah, the ones that have been given opportunities, but you haven't taken your opportunity. Now we're not looking to keep players like that. Now we're looking to win premierships, and I don't think they're part of our makeup and what we're looking to do for the future. Yeah.
Got one from Xena the Redeemer on Instagram earlier today. Question for the show, boys. Is Chera all Australian?
Chera?
He's had a season and a half.
I genuinely
He'll in the squad.
He would have to be in the 40 at this stage. In the last month, I just said to Tez on the fan cams before, I reckon in the last month, he's been like a top 25 player in the comp, top 20 player in the comp.
He's added goals.
He's what he's doing is ridiculous. Like there's tackling, the ball use is unbelievable. He's kicking goals, he's setting up plays. Like it's just
clearances, contested possession,
everything. Yeah, no, I reckon
doesn't not do nothing well. Sorry, not well.
I say it all the time about Ches. And I'll stick by it. And I'm a big believer in the fact that he wasn't a victim of our development system. Hence why you're seeing the product that you're getting from someone that goes through the right development. Imagine the flip side. If Freo took Dow, we took Chera.
Could you like just to see the?
Well, you don't know,
comparison?
but
We don't know.
thankfully for us, we're getting the best of Chera.
Yeah.
You know,
sure.
All right, we've got a few in the live chat here that we'll cover off first. Clarence, if we win 2 or 3, if we win our next 2 or 3 games, we'll make the 8. If we win our next 3, we would have knocked off Freo, Port, and the Eagles, and we'd be back at 9, 1, and 8. And I think that'll actually have us firmly in the 8. So yeah, I would say at that stage, if we win 5 straight, which is what that would be, why not? Cancels out the 6 straight that we lost. What else we got? If TDK, this is a good one. If TDK and Pitnet are fit next week, who will be dropping out?
Young.
Definitely I said Young. Yeah, for me, Young.
It sounds like Pitto might miss a couple of weeks, so I think we'll see TDK and Sauce, which we'll go through in the preview.
Young purely for me as well. Like I know he played, he obviously played in the ruck, but Joe, that moment and you talk about work rate and effort, Young. In that contest where who was it that took the mark? Fergus Green or something?
It was really bad.
His effort to attempt to spoil was below par.
Shocking.
And that I'm sorry, like if that's happening, and I know obviously we're already up, but you can't have those type of standards. So for me, I'd be dropping him.
Agree. Is Sauce safe now from tough Snizzo?
No.
Snizzo.
Safe. I mean, he'll play next week. That's for sure.
He's not safe.
I don't think anyone's safe.
He will play. He will play next week, only because Pitto will likely miss. But you can't say safe. Look, this is the thing that shits me is we have one good game or a player has one good game and we go, see, this is why we've got to keep him. No, Cunningham's not safe. Martin's not safe. Fogarty's not safe. They're safe. Those 3 that we spoke about at the start of the show, they're safe if they put together a 10-week block like they're doing now. That's when they're safe. And it's a 1-year contract or a 2-year contract to go, you know what? Well done. You stayed on the park. You got the job done. Sauce can't be safe just because he had a good game today against a bottom 4 club. You're joking. Kidding me. No way. And on that, Jules' dad on the Instagram, Jack Sauce, he's the man, is all he said to us.
Is that what he wrote? Tell Sil to check out Salamis.
Jules is actually looking after him. They're looking all right.
Nah, I checked them before. They're all, man, they're humming.
Like good, Jules?
They are. The smell. Inspirational.
They'll be ready for our 100th ep, so maybe we'll crack one open for the 100th episode with the first taste.
I'll get like provolone cheese or something. We'll give it to everyone.
All right, on the Instagram, we've got a few comments and questions. Jordan Blyfield says Dern and Motlop have their work cut out for him, knocking Fogarty out of the team, especially. Yep, agree. Simon Batagello, is Hewitt at serious risk of losing his spot permanently? It's a decent one.
For me, yeah. Well, I don't know about permanently, but I know we're probably going to go through selections, obviously, in terms of the preview into the Freo game. But for me, he doesn't get in this week. I just think for flexibility in terms of our midfield, to allow Fogarty, to allow Cunners, players like that to get into the midfield and have a few times inside the center square in terms of the bounces. I don't see how he gets in because there's no inside midfielder at the moment not performing. The only other player that you could probably push out is probably Ed Kerno.
But
that sort of affects the balance.
If once Cottrell's back next week, which he is, and I forgot about, Walsh goes back inside. So you don't need Hewitt or Ed. This is why I spoke about Hewitt last week. He could be someone that's got value as trade bait. That's all. That's how I see it at the moment. Like we're going to have to get rid of a player to make some room for a run and gun type. So he can't hold his fitness. He can't hold his form. Like he should be in that conversation at this point, unfortunately. Anyway, Escape Artists asks, "Are we back?" I don't know about that. Blues Gal 43. Why was Charlie subbed off? I think it was just tactical. I don't think
he was sick.
Illness, apparently, yeah.
He was still sick. So they just thought, well, he'd kicked that goal, and they thought we'll just get him off.
Feeling sick, kicked 3 goals too. Not bad. Sosbraz says, "I'll suck Jack Martin's toes." Talking about how quickly I would blow the lid off with one.
Not even a question though. It's a statement.
Yappa 93, Cutters and Martin adding some much needed class at half forward. Apsy, Dan, your mate. What's Dan's segment called? We don't have a name for it yet. We'll,
Yeah, he wants to name it.
Mugadonna. Tackles win games. The tests begin again next week with Freo and then Port, and that is true. And Shannon Gore says Cunningham, I'll say no more. And it's true. Cunningham's had a good game. He's had a good couple of weeks. I hope he can put 10 weeks together because it's what we need. All right, boys, let's go for votes. Who wants to start?
I'll go. For one vote, I actually gave it to H for a vote. At one stage, I was like, far out. His roles, he kicked 1 goal 3, but then he obviously kicked his second. He missed that easy chance from like 15 out, and we're just on like, what are you? That snap, and we're like, what are you doing? But despite that, the bloke had 11 score involvements. We saw the way he used the footy. He was strong in the content, with his marking ability. He kicked 2. I think, I had to give him 1. It was hard between him, Cunners, and Martin, but I gave H1. 2 for Walshy. We spoke about him earlier. I think his ball use and his score involvement was just sensational. And like you mentioned, Joe or Jules, there was the fact that he was able to get into that position to then hit a target inside 50. And then Ches spoke about him. He's got my 3.
Jules?
The same. Obviously, Harry, I think he sort of put himself out there, which is good. I feel like as if he's got his mojo back in terms of trying to, to be that one that actually wants to impact. So he was really doing that, which obviously enables him to get the ball more and obviously have an effect around the ground, not so much inside forward 50, even though he did today, in terms of in front of goal. I know he did miss a couple. He probably could have kicked 4 or 5. Let's be honest. But yeah, nonetheless, obviously, there's amount of score involvements and assists that he had in terms of, his tackling pressure as well was immense. We got Walsh as well. I think he's sort of getting his polish back. He didn't really have it, obviously, the first half of the year, but now obviously trying to release him a little bit more on the outside, it's enabling that as well. And then Chera, 3 votes. So I think it's pretty obvious in terms of the manner in which he conducted himself. Not only today, but the last 14 rounds as well. So he's been immense. He's gone in leaps and bounds. It really has.
And while I go through mine, leave your 3-2-1s in the chat as well for the day. I had similar, but I actually had Walsh for 1. I was tossing up between Walsh and Cripper, to be honest, because I thought Cripps' game was actually really good. But Walshy's ball use going inside 50 was phenomenal. Like hitting targets left, right, and center. And I just thought he looks like he's got his confidence back. He looks like he's got his legs back under him. He's running on top of the ground again. And if we can get that Walsh for the next 8 weeks, it's going to go a long way, I think. I actually gave 2 votes to Jack Martin. I didn't have Harry in my votes. I wanted to. I thought he was really good. But Jack Martin deserves some credit because he's missed a lot of footy and he's a player that probably needs to play on a bit of confidence. And he's come in the last 3 games and he's kicked a goal against Essendon, was pretty influential against the Suns in that second quarter and first quarter when the game was set up. And today he kicked 3. I just think Jack Martin's. I just think we're seeing what a good Jack Martin is for this club. Like a fit Jack Martin is so good for us. Like we don't have a third tall or a third forward that can do what he does. We just don't.
Yeah,
that's a fact. We just don't, and it's just unfortunate that his body can't hold up for him week to week. And I'm hoping that he's turned a bit of a quarter. I am, but at the end of the day, we've seen this before. He comes in, he can put together a block of 5 or 6 weeks, and then it's a calf or it's a hamstring. And touch wood, that's not the case this time because the way he's going about it, I think he's definitely been a massive factor in us turning around that execution in inside 50 the last few weeks. And then I had Chera for 3 as well. I think I've said this before. I'll say it again. I think Adam Chera should be the captain of this football club from next year on. The way he goes about it is just, it's everything you want. And it's, he's not a homegrown talent. He's not. I'm not saying Cripps should be stripped of the captaincy, but I see what Adelaide did with Jordan Dawson, brought him in from Sydney, good culture, good work ethic. He's a player that's obviously well respected. And I see everything that in Jordan Dawson that I see in Adam Chera in terms of the way he goes about it. So we'll see what comes of that next year. All right.
Big call.
Well, Libby. Libby's back. No edit this week. I do apologise to Libby. I've only just got this laptop back, but all the edits and the graphics and whatnot that we usually do, I'll be back next week. Sharp then. Libby.
Hey guys, it's Libby with Libby's Last Word, and this is what I thought about the game. Well, I'm proud. I'm proud of them. That was a smashy game. I mean, Hawthorn's a pretty easy team. I mean, Hawthorn was the first half. Hawthorn, gotta say, you guys were so bad. You didn't score a goal. What team doesn't score a goal in the first half? That was absolutely terrible. But, Carlton defence was great. That's probably why they didn't score, because our defence was absolutely on point. That's the best defence I've ever seen us play. Sardi, he didn't play the best, but Weeders definitely played good. And Young and Akers, I was very proud. Our mid is just undefeatable from the Hawks. It was too easy. And, Charlie Curnow was amazing. And, yeah, I was really proud of them today. It was good to start a game, come off with a win today and last week. But, yeah, we've got Freo next week. So, hopefully we can win against Freo. If we win against Freo, then I'll have some hope that we fight for the top 8. But we got an upcoming game against Port, which is going to be very hard because Port is just very good. But our pressure was amazing. Our tackling, it was just chasing, and it was just amazing. Like, we've improved so much. I wish we played like the way we played today. Those other weeks we lost. Only if we played like that. We chased, we contest, we kicked it to people other than Charlie and Harry. But I do have to say that we did kick it to Charlie and Harry a lot of the times. But, yeah, it's good to kick it to free options so we can get more chances of getting goals. I reckon our pressure was the best thing about the game. I'm very proud of the boys. I'm just proud. I'm proud of Cripper. Cripper had a good game, I reckon. Walshy, Chera always has good games. I'm always proud of Chera. And Mackay, good job. He did pretty good. We one thing we're very good at is we supported the contest, and that was great. And I reckon supporting the contest helped a lot. And yeah, I'm so proud of the boys. There's nothing much else I can say unless we just did amazing. Like, Hawthorn is absolutely shit. Hawthorn is shit. But yeah, that's what I thought about the game. Go the Blues!
That is, she's getting better by the week.
She was emotional.
I'll say one thing.
At the start,
It was good. It's good to see the way that she sees the game developing. Like, obviously, Livy's been part of the podcast now for 3 years, right? Like, she was what, 10, 9, damn, when we first met Livy. Yeah. And for her to start using language like support at the contest, like, she wouldn't have said that 3 years ago. And now they'll start, like, this is the right language to be using when you're analysing a game. It's good.
Yeah, but she's playing footy herself, so she's picking it up from
She gets it.
from that as well. Yeah. She's
like
understanding it more.
It's good. All right. We have another game to preview. We've got Freo next week. The graveyard shift, 4:40 on Sunday, boys. I'd be lying if I didn't say that I checked some Jetstar flights when I got home today.
Did you?
Yeah. Too expensive.
Oh, I was going to say, are we making the trip? Away days,
Listen.
Jules?
What are they?
What is it, Joe?
Let's have a chat after the game, after the podcast, because I am so tempted to go, like, really, really tempted to go next Sunday. Anyway,
It's a nice
Sunday
stadium.
4:40.
I want to see the stadium.
I've never been. This is the thing. I've never been to
Yeah.
Oxford, but I've always wanted to see this stadium. So let's have a chat after the pod. This is a big one. This is I feel like this is it. This defines the season. This game. So if we want to talk finals, we can, but we can only start talking finals if we win this game. It's all a pipe dream until we beat Freo on the weekend. So it's huge.
Yeah, I mean, it is a big game. Even if we do win, I don't know. Can we still? I mean, I know we're obviously previewing the game, but can we speak finals
We
after
can
knowing
because it's a
what
game.
they've done to us?
We can because we've got Melbourne, Port, and Collingwood are the three that we need to try and snag one, right? But the rest of them we should be winning because they're teams either around us or teams that are worse than us. So this is a game that we just can't drop. And these are games that we've dropped all year. St Kilda, Sydney, Essendon, like those types of losses. This would just be another one of those losses where it's like, if we're serious about ourselves, if we're genuinely serious about having a crack, like this has to be the game.
Yeah, it's a must win. It'll be huge for the players' confidence if they can get over the line against Freo. Boys, players to watch.
They got 3-4.
Well,
I reckon.
we talk
Even
about
5.
midfield, and we talk about our midfield needing to be on. I'm looking at Sarong. I'm looking at Brayshaw, and especially Sarong. This guy here is a serious player, and for me, he's a joke. And and we talk about work rate and Chez's work rate. Like these two are keeping Chez out of that midfield group. Yeah. Think about that. So I think it's going to be a battle of the midfield, obviously, and who can win the contest there. Luke Jackson's a bit of a worry with Pitto and TDK. What's their situation? Are they knees for both of them?
Both knees.
Is it both knees, Jules?
Yeah.
Yeah.
TDK,
That's
where
a
knee knock for TDK, and I think Pitto. The rumor is it's a PCL for 2.
Yeah, right. See, that's going to hurt us because I think we're going to need a good tap ruckman to help us a lot of the stoppages, and I think it's going to really be an advantage. So he's definitely out. Pitto's gone.
It sounds that way.
2 to 3 weeks minimum.
Well, that's how it sounds. That's how it sounds.
I know. Plus, the press conference said they're both going to be a test. So, obviously not reading too much into it, but yeah, I think we'll see. I think obviously even with Jackson, you still got obviously Darcy as well, who's he's not a shit ruckman as well. So you obviously got him as well. And then even got
I'm saying Jackson, it's the versatility of them having both Darcy and Jackson.
Of course.
We're not going to have that luxury. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. But then and then you got Amos down forward and Walter as well. I think they both kicked 4 last night.
But are you worried about? Sorry, Jules. Are you actually worried? I'm not worried about their forward line against our back line. I'm not.
I am, depending on the service that they get.
How easy they get it out of the middle.
Yeah.
Well, of course. Yeah.
Naturally.
Yeah. Naturally, that's right. If they're going to have time to pick an option for sure.
The three that worry me, they're small. So Lockie Schultz, Michael Walters, and Michael Frederick.
Oh yeah, Frederick.
They worry me. I don't know if we've got matchups for Frederick, other than maybe Sard. But you don't want. This is the thing. We're playing good footy because our halfbacks are playing freely. They're not really given a role as a one-on-one, right? So do you just say fuck it and take it on, and then they go whatever? Like if Schultz, Frederick, and Walters get off the chain and kick 6 between them, that's fine as long as our smalls equal them at the other end. Is that the way you attack it? I don't know.
No,
I feel like you have to
work both ways. You got to work both ways.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't think you can, Jules. With the way that we're running and gunning, it's very hard. It's very, very hard to hold a halfback flanker accountable for a man, and then also say, "But you can take the ball and take the game on at all costs."
Nah, of course you can. Built down to system. Of course you can.
Jules, it's a very, very difficult balance to get right. Very difficult. You can't say to someone you've got freedom to run and gun off your man, but also if you turn it over, you've got to make sure that you get straight back onto that man. If the system behind the football, if the system behind them holds up, absolutely. But this is what I'm saying. Who of those halfback flankers?
If you're hitting up a player and running off him and hitting up a player, that player that's your direct opponent is out of the game. So it doesn't matter.
That's if you're going at 100% efficiency, which we don't.
Yeah, Joe's just saying off turnover.
I'm saying it's hard. It's hard to say take the game on at all costs, and then but also be accountable for your man for 100% of the game. Like if Sard's given a lockdown job on Schultz, for instance, he's going to be a lockdown.
Yeah, nah, I disagree. I think depending on what kind of player, obviously the players that are more locked down, you're not going to have all of them, run and gun, but obviously you're going to have like Weeders will be a lockdown, Kemp will be a lockdown, McGovern will be a lockdown, and then obviously have times where he does, run and gun. But the other 3 or 4, they're going in my books.
That's where you're right. That's where your system comes into it. As long as they're covering for each other, that's fair.
Yeah,
That's
even
fair
Newman
call.
as well. He's locked down as well.
Yeah, that's a fair call. Yeah, it's going to be one out of the middle, and let's just hope they bring the same level of intent as what they've brought the last 2 games. Is Reese in the chat? Look at this, bang!
Oh, Reese has joined in.
He's back.
Lid's
He's back
off
on
for him.
board. Look, a couple of wins. Everyone jumps back. Look at him go. That's all right.
Greatest football club in Australia.
Is he at your place now by any chance, Jules?
Nah, he's nowhere near it.
We'll try and get Reese on the show in a couple of weeks. It's been a while. It's been too long. He's going. He's
Blowing.
blowing goats over Jack Martin as well. We'll try and get him back on the show. It's been a while. Yeah. Okay. Ins and outs. What have you got? Obviously, Cottrell comes in and TDK. They're the 2 that would come in if
For Young
TDK's
and Ed.
fit.
And Ed.
For Young
yeah.
and Ed. That's
Yeah.
me. That's me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably me as well. Yeah.
I think we're all aligned there. The only other one is Hewitt, but I just don't know who comes out. To be honest, I don't know who comes out.
No, I think with Cottrell coming in, I think everything else is unchanged.
Yeah.
Personally, I think Hewitt just stays a sub.
Yeah, it's not a bad sub
Hewitt
option,
stays
to be
sub.
honest.
Yeah.
Not the worst. If we need a bit of injection into the middle in the last quarter, like he did today, could be a good option. This is the thing with Hewitt and these inside mids. Like, I'm not opposed to seeing them rotate into the 2s every week, or just having a rest as a sub, because this is good. That would be good player management. Could be Kennedy 1 week that's sub. Could be Walsh.
But
Could
do we
be
know?
whoever? Whatever.
Is his body right? Like, what is the go with him?
Who
Is
knows?
it- or
Surely
it's
his body's
form?
right if he's sub.
Yeah. So
Who
it's
knows?
just form. So it's just form.
Yeah,
You'd
Well,
think so. He hasn't played for how long now?
he had the concussion against Sydney, so then he played 2s. We had the bye, so it's been like 5 weeks, but it's really only been about 3 games. But I don't know. Anyway, final predictions before we call it a night.
Blues by 10
Goals.
Carlton by
points.
21. Carlton.
Yeah, I'm saying Blues by 4 points. And you know what? I'll tell you what. Freo in Perth, there are bunnies, man. We've done it plenty of times. That's what this group should take some confidence in, is knowing that this is genuinely a game that we can, it's a road trip where we've done it numerous times now against this team. So could be getting them at a good time. Boys, it's been a pleasure. Now, before we finish, a bit of an announcement. We've got the 100th ep coming up in 3 weeks. But we've got a sponsor, boys, for the show
We do.
that you'll be seeing over the next couple of weeks. It's taken us 97 weeks to find a sponsor.
No one actually wants to invest.
But it's we'll share some more details on that in the coming weeks, and there'll be a little announcement with not some prizes, but maybe some limited merch that we might do as part of the 100th ep in a few weeks. So that's it, boys. Until next week. Next week we're on Monday night after Blue Broad Show, just because of the time that the Freo game finishes. The fan cams will be on straight after the game, so we'll shift to Monday after the Blue Broad Show next week, and hopefully we're sitting here with massive grins on our faces, man.
Yeah, I hope so.
Till then, up the baggers, man.
And the baggers.
And the baggers.
Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. It was a pleasure. It was good.
How relaxed are we?
And